Alexandra Palace, the People's Palace, first opened 142 years ago, and since then it's been a place of entertainment. It's been a prisoner of war camp. And in 1936, the world's first regular television broadcast began from the BBC studios within. And for the last 4 years, it has been the rather grand home of snooker's Dafabet Masters. Today it hosts two players who've yet to win this title at the Palace, Northern Ireland's Mark Allen and John Higgins. Now the Scot, of course, has lifted the trophy twice before elsewhere in the Big Smoke in London. But we're going back a bit now. It's fully 9 years since he last did so.
Hard to put your finger on what's happened to John Higgins' career, because it's not that many years ago. I remember Steve Davis, Steve said John Higgins is the greatest player he'd ever seen.
John is a class act. Form is temporary, class is permanent. But whatever's happened over the last few years, I don't know.
John Higgins, 49. I think John's at that sort of age where he's sort of a crossroads in his career. And does he go down the Sullivan route where he picks and chooses what events he plays? Or does he, as he's doing now, playing absolutely everything?
When he gets in amongst the balls, he looks as good as he's ever done, but for some reason, now whether it's an age thing, when you get a little bit older, you lose a bit of concentration and you seem to miss the odd easy shot.
We've all been there. We've all suffered crisis of confidence, and maybe he just needs to get any sort of a win just to get him up and running again. And once he's up and running, I mean, he's one of the best players that I've ever played, that's ever graced the game. Whether he can get back up to that is up to him.
In this Masters tournament, I mean, he'd be in his element. I mean, the crowds here have been fantastic, so if you can't play under that sort of circumstances, you'll never play it.
So here we are inside Alexandra Palace's main arena. Stephen, John. John Higgins, 25 world ranking titles and 2 Masters titles, and yet these days he's telling us he's simply a journeyman top 16 player. Surely not.
Well, do you know what? This game's all about confidence. And if you haven't got the confidence, regardless of what you've done in the game, it's what's the next match and how you feel about it.
What has been his problem, John? Because it's fully, nearly 2.5 years since his last big win in Shanghai.
I think confidence, as he's mentioned. I also think Father Time has a bearing on it. But more importantly, it's consistency. I've seen matches with John Higgins. We've been watching him. I've been commentary boxing him. I thought, wow, you're very close to your best. And then the next round, nowhere near it.
Well, Mark Allen, by contrast, fabulous season. 4 finals in a row, won 1 of them, up to a career-high world ranked 6. Is this his time in the majors, though?
Well, it could be. He's obviously on the up, and that's important. He's got some fire between his eyes and his ears, and from my perspective, it's just whether or not he can make the final part of the jigsaw, which is to beat the top players in the one-table setup at the final stages. And he doesn't know that, nor do we. If it happens, you know, it could be now.
What kind of match do you think we're in for this afternoon, John?
Pretty close, it usually is. I think from looking at the tournament this week, we know the best 16 players in the world. It's just about current form. Already we've had 6 matches this week, 4 of the outsiders. There's only Robertson and O'Sullivan has gone through. So who knows? It's just about the form on the day. OK, well, there's not much to give us a hint about who's going to win from previous matchups, because this will be the 11th time they've played. In the 10 previous occasions, it's 5 wins apiece. This is their 2nd meeting at the Masters. Allen won at this stage 5 years ago. So there we have it, the views of Messrs Parrott and Davis. That's how they see it. But how do the players themselves view this match today?
Playing John, you know what you're going to get with him. He's a tough all-round player. On his game, can score as good as anyone there's ever been. Good tactical game. You need to be, very, very close to your best to stand a chance.
Mark Allen, he's a great player. He's one of the form players of the season so far. He's won, I think, 1 or 2 tournaments, smaller tournaments, and I think that's maybe not good enough for Mark just now. He's maybe looking at the big events, the UK, the Masters, and the World Championship, where he desperately wants to get his hand in one of them.
He said at the UK Championships, a few of the Scottish guys had pointed something out that he'd been doing wrong, and he's changed it, and I think he got confidence from that. And John Higgins with confidence is a dangerous animal.
And he's favourite for the game, obviously, now the way things have went. He's going to be hungry for that, but I'm also hungry to keep on trying to win matches.
In my opinion, he's got the most rounded game that there's ever been, but in the recent years he hasn't won, obviously, the way he used to. Hopefully I can capitalise on that.
Well, big crowds here in North London have certainly been lapping it up this week, and they've had so much to enjoy. Marco Fu's maximum and Ronnie O'Sullivan's record-equalling attempts, and Ali Carter's emotional return last night. Some eyebrow-raising results, so many stories since Sunday. More of the same today? Let's find out. Let's hope so. Over to you, Rob Walker.
Thanks, Hazel. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It has already been one of the most enjoyable weeks we've ever had here at Ali Pali. And this afternoon, we have another sensational match for you. Today, we complete the lineup for the quarterfinals of this year's Dafabet Masters. Please welcome one of the finest sportsmen Scotland has ever produced. This is his 21st consecutive year at the Masters. 4 times a finalist, twice a champion, winner of 25 ranking event titles in all. He is the Wizard of Wishaw. Here comes John Higgins. And his opponent, one of the most exciting break builders in the modern game. Twice a winner of the Wuxi Classic, twice a ranking event runner-up already this season. The world number 6 has the form and belief to mount a major challenge this week. He is the pride of Northern Ireland. He's the pistol. He's Mark Allen.
So here we go, another best of 11 this afternoon. In the commentary box, Stephen Hendry's still reeling from Ronnie's record-equalling feats yesterday. Or is it just the after effects of his birthday celebrations last night? Anyway, he's fresh-ish and raring to go, I'm sure, alongside Dennis Taylor today. Good afternoon, gents.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First Hazel, and a very good afternoon to everyone watching. And Stephen Hendry looks very fresh in the commentary box, Hazel, after his night out for his birthday. John Higgins gets this intriguing match underway. Very little to pick between both players. Would make Mark Allen slight favourite, Stephen?
Yeah, I think if you're going to go in the form of this season, you'd have to make Mark Allen a favourite today. I agree with what John Parrott was saying about consistency in John Higgins' game. I commentated on a match in the UK and he was awesome, and then the next match he lost.
Well, that reminds me of you. The year you retired, come back from China, made a maximum break in the World Championship, lost the next round to Stephen Maguire and retired. Is it an age thing, Stephen?
I think what I was saying earlier in the piece we saw before the match started as well is, you know, is John practicing as much as he used to? I think that's the thing that goes with age, the sort of appetite to put in the hours every single day. There's so many more tournaments these days. I think they both get on very well off the table. Excellent length of the cue ball there from Mark Allen.
I'm talking about practice. Well, there's nobody practices more than Mark Allen. He's back home in Antrim. He plays at the 147 club there, and his good friend Joe Swale comes down from Belfast to practice with him. And in fact, it's improved Joe's game. He's starting to get some good results. Oh, that's in the pocket. That's one way of getting the white back down the table.
Mark Allen 4.
Just trying to leave the white in the jaws of this corner pocket, but he hasn't left a great deal. I mean, there's a red he can go for, but look at the black tied up, pink away off its spot. So he just tried to place the white as close to the green to leave an angle to avoid canning into the bunch of reds, but he can't do that. So this is not a straightforward shot. I don't know if he's going to go towards the black and red with this. Well, a long way off. But hasn't done a great deal of damage here. He's left one red, but there's no colour from it. He's going to have to push this right through and hopefully get onto the blue if he pots it. And took an eye off the pot there, concentrated on what he was doing with the cue ball. John was a little fortunate there not to leave a pot on for Mark. But it's getting a little bit messy, the table. The blue, pink, brown off their spots already. Black tied up. This is the last thing both players would have wanted at the start of this match, for it to turn out to be a scrappy affair. And that was delicate. Touching would help. Yeah, in fact, they're going to start again. It is a messy frame, as I said, so I don't blame them for wanting to start again. As I say, the high colours were knocked off their spots. You know, the black was tied up, and having a little laugh with each other. And yeah, good choice there to start again, I think. I mean, John has won this Masters on 2 occasions, but look at this beautiful Waterford Crystal Trophy. An absolute gem, that. And of course the gentleman sitting next to me has won it on 5, is it? Or 6? Am I one out, Stephen? Did you win it 5 or 6 times?
6 times. Dennis at the old Wembley Conference Centre, one of the iconic venues for snooker.
The first frame, John Higgins to break.
I think myself and John Higgins were... Scotland didn't have much success at Wembley apart from John and I.
Well, maybe John shouldn't have agreed to start again. Good long pot from Mark Allen. And the black this time not tied up, so it's not a bad chance. Well, there's 3 or 4 reds in potable positions, and one good positional shot here. And he's in around the black spot area. It's a terrific cueist, Mark Allen. Very compact cue action.
3.
Good all-round game. Twice a World Open champion, and I think it was 2009 back then. I thought he was going to go on to be world champion. In fact, I think it was John Higgins that knocked him out that year in the semi-final. John beat him 17-13 in that semi-final. It's hard to believe that it's back in 2009.
Thanks. 4. Give me a second, please, Mark.
Jan Verhaas, you may have heard him say, just give me a second while I get the pink on its spot. That's what he was looking at there. And he knocked it straight in the pocket, as you can see. Meanwhile, Jan is getting the pink as close to its spot in the direct line with the black and blue there. That's the steady finger of Jan Verhaas there.
10. $11.
The red that's closest to the pink pots to the left corner, so if he got the cue ball in a couple of shots time, round about where it is now, he could pot that, screw back for the black and dislodge the reds.
$18. $19.
Yeah, Stephen was talking about that red. If he could screw back off the cushion and get somewhere in the centre of the circle there, he'd be in good shape. Well, how many times? Look, he's right bang in this
Mark Allen,
circle. But
19.
it's amazing the number of times the top players take their eye off the pot.
$1.
Well, he's on the black, but the only problem is the pink is rolled close to where the black's going to be respotted, so
Sure.
certainly block the black up to the left-hand corner. Yeah, this miss is just complete lack of concentration. Should be able to just stand down to play for the pink. To the left corner, I may even have the angle to play for the black to the right corner, but I think he'd want to get rid of the pink as soon as possible.
$9.
Yeah, he may go straight into the reds here, because they're all covering each other somewhat. It's 4 loose reds, and the other's tied up, so playing at the bottom and a little bit of side. Well, he's just played for the loose one at the moment.
16.
Just depends how the player feels and sees it. Some players would have went straight into the reds there. But as he potted that one, he's
70.
cleared another one for the same pocket. But as Stephen said, he wants to get the pink out of the way. And that'll free the black up for both corner pockets.
$23. $24.
That was well controlled. Been easy to lose the cue ball to the black cushion there. Really nicely.
31.
Cannon. If he'd caught the pink on the right hand side as we look at it, he'd have snookered himself there on this red.
$32.
Well, the chance is there for John to take this opening frame. Just got to concentrate 100% and not miss any easy ones. That's beautifully played, that. I mean, you're looking at one of the greatest break builders in the game.
37.
He's third in line behind Stephen Hendry and Ronnie O'Sullivan. Both those boys on 775 centuries now. John has made 565, so he's a couple of hundred, just over a couple of hundred centuries behind the two legends. But he's a delight to watch when he's in amongst them like this. So that very easy black that
45.
Mark Allen missed is going to prove costly, you'd have to say.
Sure. 46.
Just was concentrating on getting a good cue ball. Just missed a straightforward black. He's got a pretty good temperament, Mark. That won't affect his game, I wouldn't think.
Does look to be
53.
striking the cue ball beautifully. You always tell when someone's hitting the ball well because they're never out of position.
54.
Just about okay. Could have done with another 6 to 12 inches on that cue ball, but he can go towards the blue from that angle.
60.
Just needs the blue, and then Mark Allen will be at the snooker's required stage.
$65. 66.
'We've had 11 centuries
71.
so far in this year's Masters. Good chance of one here.
Thank you. 72.
Yeah, it's been flawless. As I said, he's never been out of position once.
77.
Well, I think all of us, when
79.
we were talking before the match, we were mentioning about John and talking about confidence. The game's all about confidence. Well, what a way to start. That's certainly going to boost his confidence.
82.
So we could have a cracking match on our hands here this afternoon.
'86. '91.
Good to watch, isn't it?
'97.
Can't do any better than make a century in the opening frame. That's century 566 for John Higgins. It's his 10th century of this season. But more importantly, he takes the opening frame and he should settle down. He leads 1-0.
Oh, yeah, his quality's really slipping, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, not bad for a journeyman pro.
Yeah, absolutely. 104 straight off the bat, but it was that missed black off the spot that really allowed John to get in from Mark Allen.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like Mark Allen was trying to create a little bit more of an angle that was there, and from that perspective, he'd have been distraught to have seen missed such an easy black as that.
Absolutely. OK, so John Higgins in front. Now, I know Steve Davis is really building himself up because he's got the Masters class, the demonstration. Oh, yes, he's got his cue all primed and ready. So we would like you to give him some questions and perhaps some topics, perhaps some little things to demonstrate. He did say to me earlier, please don't make them too hard. So please make them really hard. That would be very nice for him. And we'll be doing that at the mid-session interval.
Just give it whatever you fancy.
Yeah.
I'm up to it. I'm up to it.
You're up for it as well. And if you do have any questions for our wonderful team of experts, then you know how to contact us, all the usual ways of so doing. But this has the makings of a good match, wouldn't you say, John? Because these two both fluent attacking players when they're in form.
Yeah, that was a beautifully constructed break from John Higgins. First real good opportunity that he had, and the cue ball was just perfect. Stephen said in commentary, it was just absolutely on a sixpence all the way through. It absolutely couldn't be any better. So great start for him. And Mark, I just want to get a foothold early on. I mean, you want to make mistakes like missing that black he did there. It wasn't really a difficult shot at all.
OK, well, tremendous start to this match. One frame gone, 1 century on the board.
Another terrific crowd in the Alexandra Palace. Oh, Jimmy's back again, and he's with Patsy Fagan there. So you got a former Masters champion, and Jimmy in the 1977 UK champion, Patsy. I think he can hear me there. Give us a little smile, Patsy. Delightful fella. Good buddies. Oh, that's close. I think that's in.
Foul. John Higgins 4.
Now then, we'll see how well John's cueing, because the white going in the pocket has left John a long red, and the black's available, but it's one of those, if he plays for the black, must get it, because if he doesn't, he's going to put Mark Allen right in amongst them. And this is where the positive thinking comes in, Stephen. You've got to think, if I get this, I'm right in amongst them. Some players used to think, if I miss this, I'm going to leave my opponent in. It's how you approach it mentally. Plays a big part.
It's the kind of shot that professionals practice. someone, well, all the top 16 players would count that a shot. It's probably 9 out of 10. Probably expect to get it 10 out of 10, but it's probably a 9 out of 10 shot. They cued it beautifully.
Second, John, please.
Leandra Haas just asking for a second again because the pink spot's occupied. Big advantage here with Yanni as well. He's about 6'4", so he can reach over without any problem. But I'll show you what he was looking at from John's perspective.
Thank you.
As you come down, you can see just slightly, and that's where he hit it to keep that white in more or less the same position.
Yeah, it's interesting. He had the ball in hand, but he just lined it up just a touch off straight. Most people at home would say, well, why not line it up straight? Surely that's easier, but most professionals would just leave just a touch of angle.
8.
Maybe a change
13.
of plan here. He's just hampered himself slightly for the red next to the black, but he had the alternate red for the middle. He played for that one next to the black, but shouldn't be a problem. So he's potted everything he's gone for at the moment. 32 pots without a miss.
I was just thinking, Dennis, Steve Davis is doing a masterclass. Maybe we should get that long straight red out from.
Dear me. That would put him under pressure, Stephen. Staying on the blue, and he will do again, but if he can get a good angle on the blue this time, he'll maybe play for that red next to the black. Oh, he's gone too far this time, so slight change of plan. He can still play for the one to the left of the pink and reds. Just get into that too well. Should have been on a nice easy blue for the left middle pocket, but slight change of plan again. Might be able to get up on that red I mentioned. He's got the one on the right side of the table as well, and that'll do very nicely. That's about perfect.
22.
When John Parrott mentioned in the studio about having the cue ball on a sixpence, and that's a typical example there. He had that white exactly where he wanted.
$23.
So finally, he's on the black in a way that he can play for the red beside it.
$30.
Will no doubt be going into the pack after the next black, and just checking to see if there was a plant to the right centre there.
$31.
So we just above centre, the cue ball, and a touch of right hand side here. Try to hit the main bunch. Well, if he's done nothing, he's a bit unlucky.
38.
Yeah, he couldn't have played it much better. He played it as you called it, Stephen, and a little unfortunate. He can't quite get to the potting angle of that one, and the one he's looking at in the middle is quite tight also, the one to the right middle. In fact, it's so tight he's having a look at it from both sides, but might be able to get to that. In fact, if he does get it, he'll be back on the black.
39. $46.
Just comes slightly awkward in this red to the right centre. And raising the cue, but in the air.
$47.
That's excellent. This is very impressive from John Higgins so far. This is as good as snooker can be played.
It's going to be a little bit careful with this one here. It's just slipped away slightly. What was the problem with that cannon there? You wanted a thicker contact on the red, and it would have kept the white in amongst the red. So just a medium distance pot required, but yeah, so far it's been vintage John Higgins. If this goes in, he'll take the second frame because he'll be on the black. But it's awkward when you're using an extension. There's so much cue between your bridge hand and the white.
Oh, 55.
Been off the jaw that time, but it's in the pocket. Well, this takes me back to when I used to pop up to Spencer's to have a little practice, and you'd be playing John.
62.
And John Higgins got to be world #1 and world champion within 6 years, which was some achievement. And a lot of that credit, and John would tell you, was down to practicing with Stephen Hendry. It's 47 pots out of 47 so far. I wonder how many frames you did play
70.
against John, eh? Be in the thousands, I would imagine, Stephen.
Yeah, most days
71.
we'd maybe put in a couple hours on our own in the morning, have a bit of lunch, and then have 3 or 4 hours in the afternoon. I've seen from very early on that he was always going to be one of the best players in the world.
Yeah. 78.
Well, it's amazing. Mark Allen has missed 1 pot. He missed that easy black, and he's been sat in his seat ever since. John Higgins has been immaculate. And if he
79.
starts with back-to-back centuries, I'm not sure how many times that would have happened in the Masters, the start of a match. Look at the side he had on that right-hand side to swing it around the angles.
85.
You know, this has come from, we had a re-rack in the first frame which looked like it was going to be scrappy. John had missed a red into the middle.
86.
But we started again, and he's never looked back.
94.
Well, this is absolutely brilliant from John Higgins. It really is. Here's another century for you. And a terrific round of applause for his second century. Can't play any better than this.
Thanks, Jim. 102. $105. 107.
Dennis, when Mark Allen missed that easy black in the last frame, I didn't think he'd be sat down for the next two frames.
110.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mark knows what John's capable of, but I don't think he was expecting John to throw this sort of snooker at him. But it can turn around, and if Mark gets his chance, he's quite capable of doing the same thing, but at the moment it's all the Scot.
119. 125.
It just doesn't get any better than this. John Higgins has been immaculate in the two opening frames. Back-to-back centuries, and he leads 2-0.
Immaculate indeed, absolutely superb start from a former world champion, a former Masters winner, one of the greatest players in the game, who has been searching for something the last couple of years, and we've seen him try new cues. We've seen him at the UK Championship experiment with different techniques. What have you noticed that's different this time?
There's two ways to try and get out of a rut. Go to the practice table with your technique, or see the sports psychologist. But I and John, along with quite a number of people on Twitter, sort of, you know, the snooker aficionados, have spotted that John Higgins has a lot closer bridge than he has had at some stages in his career. Graham Dott, I believe in the last tournament, John, had said that perhaps he was pulling the cue back too far. So, yes, it's OK to pull the cue back a bit shorter, but if you make your bridge a bit shorter, it helps to stop you pulling the cue back too far. So he's noticeably closer with the bridge. That means he's a bit further at the back, up on the butts, but that means he's more compact. And if that cue doesn't come back that far, it's a little bit easier to get it back to the white ball where he wants. So he's basically becoming a little bit more efficient amongst the balls. And it's paying handsome dividends.
Well, that performance there, this is a 50-to-1 shot to win this tournament. Have you ever seen a 50-to-1 shot play that well? I mean, that is just phenomenal snooker to the first two frames. Honestly, there's no way you can be 50-to-1 now.
More of the same? Let's find out.
Well, whatever you do, don't hit the blue when you break off, and that's exactly what he's done. So Mark Allen, well, after what he's had to sit and watch, can he knock a long red in? As I mentioned at the end of the last frame, he could quite easily do the same thing that John has done, but he needs to knock a long one in to get going. Well, they got one part of the shot correct, right in the heart of the pocket, but just let the white drift away slightly. This is tricky. If he has to play it with pace, it makes the pot much more difficult. He deserves to be on that red, because that was a lot better shot than it looked from that angle. And he is on it.
9. $15. 6.
Mark, very compact, as I mentioned before. His hand is a little bit closer to the cue ball than a lot of players, but there's not a lot can go wrong. You can see how close his hand is there, but it works well for him.
22. $23.
Potted that red into the left-hand side of the pocket there. That's why he's landed a bit straight on this black. If he'd got the red in the middle of the pocket, he'd had a nice angle.
$30.
Well, you can see there's a red at the back of the bunch and to the right that will go. So if he hasn't got an angle on the pink to go into the bunch, he can play on that red, he can drop on it. And this all caused by a poor break-off shot. He was immaculate, John Higgins, and then lost a bit of concentration on the break-off shot.
$38.
Again, I think you've seen the slight grimace on his face there. It's finished. He wanted angle to go into the pack there, and he's landed straight again. So he's going to have to play the tricky red along the cushion. And just concentrate in the pot here. It automatically be on the black.
$46.
This is a good response, though. After being sat in a chair for 2 frames.
Didn't play that well. I was surprised he went into that.
53.
I thought he would have gone into that red to the right there. He just got into that too much. He didn't intend that to happen. This is very tricky. Great recovery shot. Excellent.
54.
I tell you what, every chance of another century here. Oh, that kicked. That kicked, that spoiled the position. He's still got a long red up into the corner, but the heavy contact will show you it again. Black leaving the bed at the
61.
table, and it's spoiled the positional side of things slightly. And he's not quite over the winning line in this third frame. There you go. But it's a long straight red up into the corner. Back for the black.
$62.
Well, I did mention he's got a good temperament, Stephen. I'll tell you what, he's proving it here, because this
69.
is a terrific response. To say all John did was make a poor break-off shot, and it's cost him the frame.
Yeah, after John broke off, he sat in his chair and he shook his head for quite a while.
70.
You can see why he's so disappointed, because this is what can happen at this level. A break-off shot is such a routine shot, but it's so important to get it right.
77.
Well, if he does go on to make a century,
78.
it's got to be some sort of record. The Masters have been going for 40 years, and I can never remember 3 centuries in the 3 opening frames of a match. Still got a few to pot to get to that century, though. But wouldn't it be nice if he did do it?
84.
Yeah, I think
85.
it shows why these two players were so desperate to get that first frame re-racked. They don't want to be involved in those scrappy frames. This is what they're best at.
Well, the opening frame lasted just under 12 minutes.
91.
Second frame just under 14 minutes. And this
92.
one has only been going, coming up to 7 minutes. This crowd's getting their money's worth here, although it's all happening fairly quickly.
$98.
Oh, it's just a little bit betwixt and between. Get in.
99.
Absolutely fantastic. There's the third century in 3 frames.
106.
Absolutely amazing.
107.
Boy, have these boys got their potting boots on this afternoon.
112. 114. 170.
Well, the both players are having a little smile. I don't know what Mark said. He's got quite a good sense of humour, and they're good mates anyway. But nice to see John smiling. Yeah, that'll do. No total clearance, but I'll tell you what, it just doesn't get any better than this. 2 centuries from John Higgins, and Mark Allen responds with a 3rd century in 3 frames. It's 2-1. We want more of this.
Oh, we're rather rubbing our hands here. It's very nice, isn't it? What a fantastic match. I hope you're enjoying it at home, because we certainly are here. John, it was a miss black off the spot in the first frame, and then that was a bad break off from John Higgins. Pounce, wham, all over. Fantastic.
Too easy, this game. I miss safety play. Whatever happened to safety play?
It's boring. There's no interest in it. It's a ridiculous game. Although, John, I would point out, and far be it from me to put a dampener on things, this game, this match started off awfully.
Yeah.
They couldn't hit the right side of a bus between them, so much so that they got the balls messed up so much they'd have a re-rack. Now, the interesting thing about that is, Sean Murphy last year was asking for the players to have a little bit of practice on the table before the start of the match. Effectively, these two lads have had a little bit of practice on it, and then they've started off like a train.
It's a very good point, actually. It's something we've talked about in snooker several times before, but perhaps it is a way of getting the nerves out. One never knows.
Yeah.
We'll leave that with you.
You always get something interesting off Steve Davis, don't you? Can't wait for his masterclass at the interval. You want to tweet in and get him to set up that straight shot, as you mentioned, Stephen. See how close he gets to the pocket. Mid-session interval coming up after this frame.
Maybe forced to taking this long red on. And this does need good cueing. Okay, that was excellent. Cute long shot. So still. Watch how still he keeps his head.
Oh, maybe this red goes up into the corner. He could have dropped on it. That putt success rate, the stats that were up, is amazing. 100% and 98%. Look at that. Unbelievable. That's 67 out of 67.
It's 3-1, Dennis, isn't it?
Yeah.
16.
Two reds, two blacks.
Seventh.
Yeah, he knows the importance of this next cannon when he puts the black. Not the best. He was hoping to be on one to the left middle, but he's not.
24.
I don't think he played the cannon that one. I think it was the one to the right he was hoping to hit. But I don't think he's got a pot to go at. This one may cut back into the pocket. He's cannon into the other red. You'd think he'd finish on a colour, but he's got to make sure of the pot.
25.
I suppose the only thing that's left to see in snooker, Dennis, is two maximums in the same tournament, isn't it?
Yeah, Mark O'Full made that majestic maximum break. Only the third ever in 40 years of the Masters. Jimmy White and Kirk Stevens, the other two. Sorry, not Jimmy White. It was Ding Junhui and Kirk Stevens. Three overseas players. And the only players to make a maximum at the Masters.
Well, I think that's the end of the maximum. Maybe rolling up for the blue here. It's still the way John's playing, there's every possibility of a fourth century in a row.
Yeah.
Here, I was mentioned earlier, look how still John's head is. That's the secret.
$38. $39.
Just hampered slightly here. If there's a red available into the right corner, it'll be okay. Can't do much when you're bridging over a ball like that. Pink spot's occupied, so it's going to tie the red up that's on the pink spot, but there's another one to the right of that that's available. Mustn't touch that red. As close as possible.
Thank you, John. 45.
There's a little gap there he can play it through to get to the blue.
46.
Well, he's quite a few balls to pot yet to secure this frame, but just let that go a little bit further than he intended. I was just about to say,
51.
if he carries on and wins the frame at this visit without missing, I mean, there'll be records all over the place falling because he hasn't missed a ball yet. Can never remember that happening, a player playing 4 frames and not missing a pot.
Just a tricky little shot here into slightly blind pocket, just got to judge the cannon on the pink. Not perfect.
52.
If he's going to play the pink, he's going to have to play a cannon into one of those 3 reds.
$58. $59.
If he could get a red, green, red, blue, he'd have enough to leave Mark Allen needing a snooker. Just had a quick glance at the scoreboard.
Normal.
59 in front, the green would be 62. The red to the left of the yellow, 63, and the blue would be 68, and there'd only be 67 left on the table. That's the first pot that he's missed in this
59.
match. And it wasn't a difficult one, just cued across it slightly using the rest. Still a strong favourite for this 4th frame, the way the balls are situated, and with a 59-point advantage. Wow, this red's coming towards the corner pocket, and there might be a gap through to it, is there? Maybe he's just covered it. He didn't intend the red to go as close to the pocket, but he has covered it, as you can see. And just a safety shot here. Too much pace on that. So So there is a pot on for Mark Allen. And not only did he get the pot, but look at the position he's left himself. That was superb there. In off the jaw there. Couple of reds that are
8
safe at the moment. Almost missed that.
Nine.
The safest red is the one over the right side of the table. He's got an angle on the black here. If he wanted to try and move that, which he has done. Knocked it a bit too far though. May have to take it
16.
up into the corner. But if he somehow could pinch this frame and go to the mid-session interval at 2-all, what a boost that would be. Because John Higgins was just a couple of pots away from making it 3-1, and he missed that very easy green. In fact, he can cut this in the middle. I'll tell you what, if that white he's shaking his head. If that white comes up the table a bit more, he would have had an angle to pot the pink and move the red that's to the left of the one that's near the cushion. But he can't do it, obviously. He's almost straight on the pink. Well, this is not easy.
Yeah, but he's got on it as probably as good as he could have done.
23.
It's a nice angle for this red. Yeah, a natural angle to fall off the cushion, knock the one away that's closest, and leave himself on the other red to the corner. Just flick the outside red.
Yeah, he tried that
31.
shot you mentioned, but he's still okay. He's got this up into the corner, so this would be a bit of a body blow for John Higgins if he was to lose this after leading by 59 points.
Mark Allen, 31.
Could have played this a different way. Could have just followed the cue ball through a couple of inches, left an angle in the pink to play for the last red. Very scrappy frame this though, Dennis, isn't it?
A very intriguing frame. John with that break of 59 and missed that very easy green with the rest. But just looking 28 the difference. If John could pop a red and a black, he wouldn't need the difficult red. So a lot of permutations yet to decide the outcome of this fourth frame. Can't quite see enough of that to take the pot on. Bringing the difficult red into play. There's that cue ball. He's okay. And even though John leads by 28, one mistake, and Mark would pounce on it. Yeah, he mishit that totally. But he's been rather fortunate. Just holds his hand up. That white looked like it was going to go in the corner pocket, and that would have been the end of frame. Little smile from Mark there. He knew he mishit that as soon as he made contact with the cue ball. Well, the boys in the studio wanted some tactical play after the 3 centuries. Well, they're getting it here, and it's a very important tactical exchange. This is going to determine as to whether we go to the mid-session interval. John leading 3-1, or, as I mentioned earlier, if Mark Allen could somehow level it 2-all, he'd be absolutely delighted. That's what Mark's looking at there. Can't get past the yellow to that one. Can only hit the one on the left side, past the green, as you can see. What he's concerned about, I mean, he could take the cut on to that right corner pocket, but he may cannon straight into the yellow. It's such a difficult safety shot that he might just try and snick this in. And he's hit it all wrong. So red, colour red needed for John Higgins. Well, was that a bit of tension or not? He missed that by a country mile. That's amazing. He never missed a ball for, well, over 3 frames, and then all of a sudden he does that.
1.
Now this could be a huge turning point in this match. Said at the top of the show, John's sort of slight downfall has been he looks brilliant, and then all of a sudden he'll miss an easy
5.
one, and he certainly did that there.
6.
I mean, that was didn't even get it in the jaws of the pocket. That'll give John something to think about at the mid-session interval. Okay, Mark still has to clear these up.
11.
But he's a left-hander, and when he pots the yellow, he'll be perfect on the green.
13.
Yeah, you're talking earlier about
16.
positives and negatives way of thinking. I think John's played absolutely superbly for, well, 2 frames, but the only thing you'll remember now at the interval is that red.
20.
You won't think about them 2 centuries at all.
Yeah, he missed that red
25.
in the left corner. He missed an easy green with the rest in the opposite corner that would have more or less given him this 4th frame, but Mark Allen
31.
was 59 points behind in this frame, and he will be absolutely delighted. A little fist pump from Mark Allen. He goes to the mid-session interval, and I don't think he can quite believe it, but he is all square with John Higgins. It's 2 frames each.
Well, Dennis and Stephen called it right. These guys wanted some tactics. They got them in that one. And quite a contrast, actually, after seeing John Higgins miss nothing, suddenly that's what let Mark Allen in that frame.
Yeah, well, he made it, say, played well for 2.5 frames because he got the 60 odd, then missed the green with the rest, and then just that long red, the one ball there, as Stephen said, he'll go to the interval, he'll remember that one and forget probably the 2 centuries, but a beautiful opening session that was. Great high quality break building, little bit of everything in the last frame, and the people have been regally entertained so far.
And interesting to see Mark Allen
bit of a fist pump going in there. Clearly meant a lot to him to get back on level terms there. It looked like he was going to go 3-1 down rather.
Yeah, and effectively, you know, he was on the ropes for most of that session, and then to sort of come out 2-all, you'd have realised that he's done a miracle in a way. And but they're both sitting in the dressing room now, regardless of the fact how well John Higgins has played. Mark Allen will be feeling far the better of the two.
I'm sure he will. Okay, well, John Higgins, as these guys have already said many times before, is widely acknowledged as one of the greatest players ever in the game, and he's got what, 4 world titles and 3 UK and 2 Masters, and everything from tactical brilliance to astuteness to awareness. He seems to have it all, but he's a confidence player, as we've been saying from the start of this programme, and that's what's been missing for him this season. In fact, he's not gone past the last 16 in any of the major events this term. Very surprising. So what is going on? John actually had a word with him earlier today.
So John, it's Masters time again, and what does this tournament mean to you?
Yeah, it's always a big part of the calendar. You always look forward to, obviously after Christmas, you know, you've got the Masters coming up, but it's always been a big tournament. But it's never one that I've ever really felt that I've done well in, that I should have maybe done a little bit better. I've lost in a lot of first rounds, but it's a fantastic tournament, obviously.
So you've been twice a winner here, yeah, and twice a runner-up. What can you remember of those particular finals?
Well, I think I've played 3 finals against O'Sullivan here, and the very first one, I think we were only about 19 or 20, and he beat me quite easily, 9-3, played very well. And then I think the next one was I played Ken in the final and managed to win that. That was quite a close game. It was 10-8, I think it was. Then I played O'Sullivan again. I think it was like 2004 or 5. And that was probably the best that anybody's ever played against me. He was superb that day. He beat me 10-3. I was lucky to get 3 because he was brilliant. And then I played him again the following year and managed to beat him in the decider 10-9.
Now we've moved on quite a few years since then.
Yeah, a few. Yeah.
And I just looked at the bookmakers, and you're a 50-1 shot for this tournament. Why, John?
Well, just in current form, really. I mean, that's things you've got to say, because they're not stupid, are they? And in current form, that's probably about the price I am. I'm playing 1 decent game and then 3 bad ones, and so I've got it a bit right, probably.
I mean, I'm thinking, you know, we're watching from the commentary box all the time, and I've done a couple of your matches, and I thought, wow, you're close to your very best. And then the next round, it hasn't been that. So is it just consistency that's been the problem?
Yeah, I think so. I think the last 3 years it's with the introduction with Barry Hearn and things, and tournaments. Now you're travelling a lot more and things, and I just don't think I've planned my diary the right way. And I think a lot of that is down to the fact that the last maybe year or two I've been in the cusp of getting relegated for the top 16. So you feel as if you need to go to events. It's like a vicious circle, because I feel as if I'm not playing good enough that I can pick and choose my events. So I feel as if I'm scrapping, having to go to smaller events to pick up enough points to secure my seeding for, say, the Masters, this tournament, and the World Championship. Whereas if I was in a better frame of mind and I was in a better vein of form, I feel as if I could pick and choose better. But the way I've been playing, the way I've been feeling, I've not had that opportunity to do that. So it's like a vicious circle. Yeah.
So do you think you're the type of player who's better when there's a lot more preparation involved before you can go to the events? That's what you like better? Yeah. I've always felt that way. I've always felt as if I'm a worker at the game, and I feel as if I need to get into events feeling, now, right, I've done my practice, right, go and try your best, and you can play better. Whereas just now, sometimes you just feel all over the place, and you're just going in hoping. And I know some players really enjoy it, and they feed off the match practice, whereas I think too long in the tooth I've felt as if I always need to feel prepared to come to events, and I've not done it. So it's my own fault, but there's a whole other mixtures as well as you're getting older, and you think, right, your time's maybe coming to an end as being a top player. And I know people look at Ronnie O'Sullivan, they say, well, he's still doing it at 40, but people can look at him and say he's like a one-off best player that's ever played the game, probably. But he's managed his calendar now a lot better than maybe some of the other top players, and he feels as if he can just pick and choose events and still be where he is. But whereas maybe the likes of myself, I've maybe looked and
says, right, I need to go to this event, need to go to that event, and then before you know it, you're in the middle of a disaster sometimes.
Now, I read somewhere that one of your playing partners, that it was Marcus Campbell or Graham Dott, whoever you were playing with, you noticed something a little bit technically you needed to work on. What was it, and has it made a difference?
Well, I'm not doing that anymore, so that just goes to show you. But no, see, the thing is, John, I mean, I've tinkered about for years with my cues.
But you've never had a coach, have you?
No, I've never.
Never felt the need, or?
No, I've always felt that I know I've got flaws in my game, and I know I'm quite good at certain things, but I know if I practice hard and hard, I can keep my flaws to a minimum. That's the way I feel, and lately I've maybe not been practicing the way I should be to eradicate the flaws, and the flaws are coming out more in my game. So, but no, I've never really had a coach. I don't know. I think once you start going down that route, and I was trying things and size of cues and things, and I don't know where I'm just now, but basically I'm here and I'm see what happens.
Now there's a few funny figures here, because in '95 you were runner-up, in 2005 you were runner-up, so the 3rd anniversary, 15 what we're in now. If I offered you the runner-up spot this week, would you take it?
Oh, of course. No, the way my form's been going, yeah, of course I would now. Obviously when you get to the final, if you'd be runner-up, you'd be bitterly disappointed, but now the way my seasons went, my form, well, of course, to be runner-up in the Masters, but that maybe goes to show you how you're thinking, that you used to maybe come to events and hopefully try to win them, and then if you're offering me runners-up, I'm taking it. So that shows you maybe my mindset is just now. But listen, when I'm practicing, and we all can do it, you're practicing, you feel as if you're hitting the ball great. It's when you go out on the match arena, as you very well know yourself, John, and little doubts start to creep in, and it's once the doubts, and they can magnify and build up, and that's where I'm just now. But I'm still trying, and I think when I'm playing well and everything comes together, I still think I'm a match for the best players, but it's getting it all together.
Well, you're still here, you're still punching, and good luck.
Cheers, John.
He's still punching all right. Absolutely fascinating interview, John, and really very good insight into how he's thinking. I think not least in terms of the preparation and that sort of merry-go-round of tournaments. But he's put his finger on something very significant, and that is he's world ranked number 14 now, and it's only the top 15 in effect that are going to qualify automatically for the World Championship at the Crucible, because Ali Carter is guaranteed a place. And if you don't get in there, you have to play 3 qualifying matches now. That is a really big issue for all of these guys, just on the cusp of the 16 at the moment, isn't it?
Certainly when you see what the quality is just below that 16. I mean, you're just winning one of the matches. As I said, I've mentioned numerous times, there's nowhere in the draw you want to just say, put yourself and say, oh, well, that's an easy... There isn't an easy draw anyway, so you have to go through all that. There'll be a lot of minefields along the way to get through, to just get to the Crucible. So I can see why he's doing it. It's awkward for John, because I know he's one of them. I know he likes to prepare properly. He likes to put the hours in. He likes to feel as if he's done his graft and he's turning up. He's done all his revision. You can't do that if you're just picking tournaments here and there to go and play in smaller events, but it's a difficult one for him.
He turns 40 in May, incidentally. Did you feel like this when you were getting to that sort of age group?
Oh, listen,
2 years ago, roughly.
Yeah, no, listen, it's coming, and you know when it's coming. He's doing well to hang on at the minute, to be fair. I mean, there's only Ronnie O'Sullivan who's consistently winning at the age of 39. It's phenomenal to be winning, especially with the standard that it is. But he knows he's not quite as good as he is, but he's looking for one tournament where he can just produce what John Higgins used to produce. We saw it in the first 2 or 3 frames there. He was absolutely brilliant, but it's doing that through a tournament where he's got a consistent level match after match.
Well, I have to say, I do remember a time when a certain Mr. Davis was winning the Masters when everyone said he was in decline. That was when you beat Ronnie O'Sullivan that last time, Steve. And I know that you are the man for the Masters class now, are you not?
Well, yes, obviously you can be in decline, but still play okay. That's the tough part about the game. But here we are in the Q Zone. Masterclass, another fantastic masterclass obviously coming up here, and I've got some questions from Twitter. Paul Aird has written in and said, when I'm screwing the cue ball back, I push the butt of my cue into my chest and it hurts. Okay, so Paul, don't do it. Okay. Moving on to Kenneth Foreman. Okay, what is the key to good long potting? Being able to hit the ball straight, Kenneth, is the most important thing. Before you start every practice session, a half an hour of hitting the cue ball up and down the spots to try and make sure you are hitting the cue ball in the middle. If it doesn't come back down over the spots, do it again. If after half an hour it doesn't come back down over the spots, do it more. The more you can hit the ball in a straight line, backwards and forwards, without putting side spin on, the more chance you have of potting long balls. Back to Paul. If you are moving your cue through and hit your cue into your chest and it hits your ribs, then perhaps try and hold the cue a bit further back, keep the bridge length the same, so effectively you've got a bit more room before you hit the shot, before it then hits your chest. OK, Darren McCarthy. I'm struggling to deliver the cue through in a straight line. Any tips on how to resolve this? Yes, hit the ball up and down the spots. OK, put a piece of chalk on the top cushion there, aim at the chalk, no side spin, up and down the spots. Before you practice, before you play your session, do this for 2 hours every day. Reece Norton. Steve, how do you stop putting unwanted side spin on the cue ball? The most important thing to stopping putting unwanted side spin on the cue ball is hitting the cue ball up and down the spots. If you do this for 8 hours every day, you'll become a far better player. I cannot emphasise how important it is to be able to hit the ball in a straight line. Up and down the spots. The spots are there for a reason. They're in a line, OK? Up and down the spots. Do it properly. Hit the cue ball in the middle. Hit that chalk. Up and down the spots. The top snooker players are the most boring people in the world because they spend 8, 10, 12 hours a day hitting the cue ball up and down the spots when they're a kid. If you can't hit the ball in a straight line, there is absolutely no way you'll be able to pot long shots. And also, if you can't hit the ball in a straight line, you won't be able to put side spin on. Now, if I've got a chance tomorrow, we'll talk about side spin. But if you can't hit the ball in the centre, there's no point in practising anymore. Thank you. Thank you.
That is, I would say, John Parrott, BAFTA award-winning. Absolutely. I think it's the best Masters class we've ever had, isn't it?
Believe you me, if you hit the cue ball up and down the spots for 8 hours, you need a hobby. Because that is the most boring thing in the world to do. That is fantastic what he's done.
That was fabulously interesting from Mr. Davis. Very well done, Steve. Lovely. OK, we're not putting them down there ever again. All right. Well, let's get back to this match. And there was a time when a certain Mark Allen was being fined so often by Snooker's World governing body that Barry Hearn said that with all the monies that they had accumulated to give to charity, they could practically build a new hospital wing. Now, he's actually kept his opinions much more to himself over the last couple of years and let his cue do the talking to very good effect, by the way. But it's always fascinating to hear life according to Mark Allen, and he's been chatting to our Jason.
Well, Mark, it's great to see you. You're having a pretty fine season, up to number 6 in the world. What's that down to?
Results, I suppose. Just practice hard, and things are just starting to pay off for me, to be honest. I've practiced as hard this season as I did last season, but just the results have come a little bit earlier. I'm normally a pretty slow starter to the season, dusting off the cue after the golf clubs get put away, but just something's clicked this season and I've started pretty well, but I've had a couple of disappointing early exits in the last couple of tournaments, so I want to put that right.
And what about when you've reached the finals, and when you've reached the final of the Shanghai Masters, and then you lost in the International Championship as well? How difficult is it to pick yourself up after having such a good run to the final?
Yeah, it's disappointing, obviously, to lose any match at any stage, but to lose big finals, even more disappointing. It's better than getting beat first round and going home with low on confidence and no money in your pocket. But you still want to, when you get to that stage, you want to win. And I've come up a little bit short, but I don't feel like I've produced anywhere near my best snooker yet this season. And I've been in 4 finals and won 1. So I'm doing something right. If I'm doing that without producing my best, I'm quite looking forward to when I do produce it.
So you can't put your finger on what's going wrong when you reach the final and why you can't lift the trophy. Obviously, you've won 1, the Paul Hunter Classic, but losing in Shanghai and the International Championship, that's disappointing. Is there any reason why you're not getting over the line?
I would say, to be honest, probably a little bit of fatigue. I'm not the fittest person in the world, and something that I definitely have to work on. And when I've lost one match in the UK Championships this season to Rod Lawler, I was very disappointed and more in myself because I didn't feel like I'd done a lot wrong. I just felt tired during the game, and that's really unacceptable in the 3rd round of a major competition. Since then, I've been on a diet. I've been trying to get a little bit fitter. I've lost over a stone since then, which was only 4 weeks ago. So I'm going in the right direction, but I have a long way to go to get to my ideal target weight.
I follow you on social media, and I get the feeling, Mark, that in the run-up to a tournament, any of the big tournaments, that you really fancy your chances. Why haven't we seen you lift the UK or the Masters or the World Championship?
It's a good question. There's a lot of good players for a start, and there can only ever be one winner of those tournaments every year. I think I've underperformed in the last few seasons. Maybe when I was performing pretty well, I was a little bit naive and immature as a player. You know, when I was younger and coming on the scene, I was getting good results and getting to the later stages of big events early on in my career. Maybe wasn't mature enough to handle it. I think now that I'm more mature, the more I put myself in that position, you know, the big tournament wins will definitely come, but it's annoying because I've won 7 tournaments, but only 2 major ranking events and none of the big 3 on BBC, so that's what the players want. You know, I'll look back at my career when I've finished and I'll count myself as a good player or a bad player, depending on how many BBC events I win.
There aren't many people, of course, who are coming to Alexandra Palace. They're coming to see Ronnie O'Sullivan. I've heard it described this week as the Ronnie O'Sullivan show. Does that infuriate you as snooker players?
A little, but you know, if Ronnie brings crowds in and sells tickets and some of that ticket money goes into my pocket, then I have no problem at all.
You say a little, but I detect from other players that it really annoys them because, you know, you're all here on merit. You're top 16 players, and yet he seems to get the back page headlines.
Just seems to be the way it is. You know, there's one person in every sport that seems to sell out for different reasons. I'd say a big majority of people come to watch Ronnie aren't snooker fans, they're Ronnie O'Sullivan fans. I think that there is a difference. I don't really mind because, you know, Ronnie's getting probably more sponsorship than the rest of us, but at the same time he attracts more viewers. He deserves that, and if he can get more events onto our calendar because of who he is, and maybe tournament sponsors want to hold a tournament so they can say that Ronnie O'Sullivan came, you know, it's given us more earning potential as well. So no, I'm definitely not jealous one bit. I'd love to be in his position. I think it makes it a little bit more easier financially, especially with these school fees he has to pay. I don't know what school he sends his kids to. It must be very expensive. But no, Ronnie's Ronnie. No, Ronnie's different. No, he's a genius on the table. Some of the things he does makes the game stupidly easy at times. But you have to remember that we're good players too. And on any given day, I think my best snooker's capable of beating Ronnie.
One of the other interesting things about following you on social media as well, Mark, is you're not afraid to tell Barry Hearn or World Snooker or Jason Ferguson how it is.
I wish there was more people like that, to be honest. I think it's hard because you feel like you can't say certain things or else you get into trouble.
But you're an honest guy, so obviously you have no regrets about saying that, but perhaps you've toned down some of your public comments.
Yeah, well, definitely. Well, my bank balance get hit hard whenever I said things that I probably shouldn't have said. I think I'm still quite happy with what I meant by what I said, but I wish I had said things a little bit better. Just part and parcel of being a sports person, and it's hard sometimes when you get a microphone stuck in your face whenever you've just lost a big match and you want to scream and, you know, like say all the swear words you want and things like that, but you can't do it. You have to bite your tongue, and it's definitely something I've got better at, but I'll never be one that just goes quietly and goes about their business and rolls over, so to speak. But it's hard because Barry Hearn has 51% of control of the company and he can pretty much do what he wants.
Mark, really good to talk to you. Thank
Thanks.
you very much indeed for your time.
Cheers.
Thanks. Top man, thank you.
I think he's absolutely right. There is a real maturity about Mark Allen that perhaps was lacking 3 years ago, but he freely admits that, and he's grown up, and since those outbursts over the last few years, he's gone on, he's won a couple of big tournaments, and he's so really close to being on the cusp of winning one of these big events, John.
It's so difficult to get that first one. He mentioned it there. There's so many good players. The standard is so high. Sometimes it might be one of those where you turn up for a week, you might not even be in the best of form, and it just happens to be your week, and that might be the one that's the breakthrough. But it just shows you the standard we're playing at. I rate him very, very highly. He's a tremendous match player, great scorer, and yet he's finding it difficult to get over the line in the UK.
Okay, well, our actor supreme, Al Pacino, alias Steve Davis, is here, although I think he might be going for a wee lie down in his Winnebago at some point as we head back to the last part of this match. Let's get back to Stephen and to Dennis.
Thank you, Hazel, and a very honest and interesting interview there with Jason and Mark Allen. Never afraid to say what he feels. A man from Antrim in Northern Ireland. And that is what it meant to Mark Allen, making it 2 each, because John Higgins never looked like missing for 2.5 frames.
Probably.
Just having a laugh with the referee there. He has got a dry sense of humour, as Mark. Great putt success rate, that, isn't it? 97, 98.
Yeah, I like to see those little fist pumps and things when you've won a frame you shouldn't have, or won a match or whatever. Because I think in snooker a lot it's frowned upon amongst the players, showing emotion at the table. You see it in every other sport.
Yeah, I think Peter Ebdon was the first one to come on the scene and used to do his fair share of shouting, and absolutely nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Yeah. Just a little bit sticking out, but not much. Tell you what, I don't think I could have got that even with them big glasses I had.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Needs to get a little trace aside on this thing, just bend it round the yellow. And he played it well. This could be close to being behind the green. Not quite. You can just get to the edge of that red. Or can he? Of course he can. In fact, he finished up hitting it much thicker than he intended and has left an early chance for Mark. The black is available. The pink's tied up. Mark's coming round to see if he can play a delicate little shot here and hold for that black. Yeah, played the drag shot there, hit the white on the bottom, took all the pace out of it.
Eight. Nine.
He'd like to get on the reds. Just the two reds that are to the right of the black. I think he's okay. He's found the gap there.
14.
Or has it just finished a little awkward? Yeah, he's having to take the other one. But he can get back to those two in a couple of shots' time.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not now.
15.
That could be the end of break. Heavy contact. I mentioned the drag shot there. We can show you what happens. This was it where he hit the white on the bottom. And you can play it a little harder, and you can see the backspin. That's when you play with the drag shot, and then it stops, and then you get the forward spin. It's a lovely shot to watch, but Mark played it to perfection there. Oh, is that going to come far enough? No, that now is the end of break.
18.
Just that couple of shots ago where he finished a fraction short for those reds that are to the right of the black. Now, what has he got in there? Oh, that's what he has, a little extension there.
Mark Allen, 18.
What about this for a shot?
Touching ball.
Yeah, it's touching the red, so he mustn't move the red. He'd love to get in behind the yellow again, but he'd have to be careful because he might move the red so he can't get over the left side of the table. It's very difficult to get in behind the green there. He definitely wanted it better than this. He's left a straightforward escape for John. Some very good tactical play now. We've had a bit of everything in this match so far. The 3 century breaks in the first 3 frames. This opening frame after the mid-session interval. Some good safety. Mark's anxiously looking to see if he's left a gap through to the one that's near the corner.
Yeah, it's a good way of playing a safety shot if you can play it thick and open the reds up, but the only danger is obviously putting reds over the corner, but I don't think he's left the one. It's near the right corner pocket.
Needs to pull up. Needs to pull up quickly, and it hasn't. So he had to swerve around that to try and make the potting angle. Didn't quite get enough on it, so good chance for Mark now.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. 1.
It's okay getting the black back on its spot because it won't be tied up. It'll be in the clear.
Yep. 8.
Yeah, he was trying to swerve around that red and maybe pot that, but just hit it far too thin.
9. $14. 15.
These players have played each other 10 times, but only once in the Masters. 2010, Mark Allen was victorious in that. He was in round 1, 6-3. He beat John.
20.
Little smile telling you that he's out of position. It's amazing. You can go all the way around the table, and if you try to place the cue ball there, you couldn't do it.
Okay.
Couldn't have played it much better, but as I say, if you try to do that, you could have 10 goes and not snooker yourself.
Thanks. Mark Allen, 20.
Looking to see where he could place the cue ball. So they'd cover the one that's towards the left corner pocket. I mean, he could take pink on, but it's far from straightforward that. He's got a 39-point advantage. Possibly if he's 39 behind, he might take the pink on, but he's keeping things tight here. And a good choice of shot, I feel. He was 2-0 down, he levelled at 2 each. He's got a 39-point advantage. No use in taking a risk and putting John right in amongst them. Keep the pressure on, and John's got to get a good cue ball here. Well, even if the Blues covered the one for the left corner, the one on the pink spot will go.
1.
Yeah, it wasn't as good a chance as it looked there. The black was only available into the left corner. Just try to power that in and get up for the blue or pink. And the red is hampering him taking the blue on for the right middle pocket.
Brown. Mark Allen 1.
It's been an awkward sort of frame. In fact, if you look at the balls now, there's only one colour on its spot, which is a bit unusual. That cue ball's close to the corner pocket. It's okay, covered everything to the left corner, and the one that's near the right corner is far from easy. Might look as if he's taken the pot on. It'll be a safety as well. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the blues blocked. I think was he trying to dance with the referee there? Did he bump into Jan Verhaas? See what happened here. Did he stand on Jan's toe? Good pot and a good nudge in the green.
Certainly looks in the ascendancy in this match now, Mark Allen, from being 2-0 down.
7.
He's by far the more comfortable player out there. John Higgins, after
8.
being flawless for 2.5 frames, now starting to look a bit edgy, starting to play some ragged shots.
15. 16. 22. Mark Allen, 22.
Well, one snooker needed, and you would think it would be 3-2 to Mark Allen. .62 the difference, just 59 remaining. Clever. And maybe an angle on the black to bring the couple of reds in, so hold your horses this frame, not over quite yet.
Yeah, if you can pot these 4 reds with 4 blacks, pot the yellow in some way,
8.
get the cue ball in behind the green, it won't be a difficult snooker to put the cue ball behind the brown.
Yeah, he's got that option,
9.
and then he's also got the option of leaving that red that's near the cushion when he pots red, black. And then he'd get a good snooker also on the last red. So a few options available to him. I mean, if you see where the white's sitting now, if he was to pot the red and the black and leave the white there, he could get
16.
tight in behind the black, send the red up the table.
$17.
Yeah, Dennis, you're correct. I should never try and predict safety shots. Well, maybe I'm right.
You could well be. You
24.
called it. I would have preferred to play the snooker on this red, but he does get nicely on the yellow and then gets over behind the green. He can get tight in behind the brown. There was two ways of doing that, and he's taking your way.
Not the best shot.
32.
If that was his plan. Can't get that cue ball over in behind the green now from this position. He needed the cue ball much closer to the left-hand side cushion.
Yeah, I thought he was going to play it the way you call it. If he gets a white there, pots the yellow, stuns over behind the green, then he gets tight in behind the blue. But what has he got up his sleeve here? Yeah, he's playing it now. Has he found a gap?
John Higgins, 32.
John just coming on to look if the swerve shot was on, but I don't think so.
I think he can swerve it slightly around the brown and then hit the cushion and come out to it, but he's going directly for the cushion before the yellow. He'll have to be very precise with this. That looks good. Even if there's a little bit sticking out there, bridging over the green, you wouldn't want to be trying that. This will be a test if he plays to get past the pink.
Oh, if it's going to come for the cushion, Dennis, it's so easy to put side on or not hit the cue ball where you want to when you're bridging over like this.
There's the pink going.
He must have been doing that 8 hours a day up and down the spots that Steve suggested.
Oh, I missed that when I was having my coffee. It was the master class. What a shame. I wanted to see that. Get a snooker, but he can't put a lot of distance between the two balls, though. There's John's expression. Tell us there's a gap. There's a gap, but there's not much of a gap, is there? He's swerving it to make sure he doesn't hit the green. Maybe a chance for Mark to get a snooker on John, because the green and brown are in an ideal position for the snookers. Well, as you can clearly see, he can only hit the yellow on the left side, and if he does that, he can double kiss the yellow when it comes off the cushion and the white comes off the side cushion. That's why he's not playing it direct. It's amazing where those two balls have finished up. Maybe, just maybe, if he hits two cushions and he can get the yellow up the table without hitting the brown, slight possibility of getting a snooker back here. That's put the green out of commission really for snookers. Pink's not good, black's certainly not good in the middle of the table, so really the good ball for snookering is the brown. Still the rest are awkward. Possible chance of a snooker here for Mark. Yeah, clever shot there. Well played. Just missed the green, left side of the table, and you should be able to get to the yellow. So one good long pot here, and that will secure the frame. Two.
Mark Allen, 2.
A couple of snookers now needed. John carrying on, and suppose he wants to get plenty of table time because he hasn't had that much in the last couple of frames. Pretty good effort there. Easy to just swerve around the brown slightly. In fact, he doesn't have to. You can just see enough of it. A strange choice. He never even attempted the green there.
Three.
A little bit of a chance here. Wouldn't be a bad idea to stun in behind the blue and maybe even bring the pink into a better position.
John Higgins, 3.
Yeah, it was well played, and bringing the brown away from that cushion obviously makes it a lot more difficult to hit. And he wants to be careful. And I suppose if he hits it pink, John still needs another snooker anyway, so. Yeah, it's a good hit. He can roll it behind the pink, but it won't be a difficult snooker to hit here.
Yeah, if he got behind the pink, he'd need to be tight on it because the brown's going to go close to the cushion. So maybe just trying it the other way around. Well, that's what he's played, but he hasn't hit it. He's left the brown. Yeah, he looks round at Mark and he said,
Frame conceded.
That's enough. And John Higgins has conceded the frame, so he took the 2 opening frames, but it's been all Mark Allen for the last 3, and he now is 1 frame ahead at 3-2.
You know, we love the tactical things as well. We love the tactical play, don't we?
I miss 100 breaks, to be honest. I really do. I don't know about you, Steve.
Tactical play's boring.
Yeah. Doing any 100 breaks.
You two are never happy, but I'm sure everybody at home who's watching is very happy because this is a cracking match that we've got unfolding now, isn't it?
If anybody had told you halfway through John Higgins' 50-odd break that the scoreline would be 3-2 Mark Allen, I mean, you people that like a gamble would have done a lot of money in, I think, because it looked from John Higgins' perspective, it was all one-way traffic. John probably thinking, well, it's really working what I'm doing in practice, you know, perhaps a bit of a shorter bridge, everything's going nice. And now, when he's trying to dig himself out of a hole, he finds Mark Allen's not going away.
What it just shows is the quality. I mean, it's absolutely fabulous standard. It really is. I mean, it's one mistake, one error here and there, and you just sit in the chair and you know the frame's going, and it really is an incredible standard they're playing.
Can you see comparisons in the way they both play? Both of them obviously very capable of making big breaks, but very tactically astute, the two of them as well. Similarities perhaps in the way they go about their business?
Well, whilst obviously the game has become a very good percentage attacking game in the modern day world, the safety and the tactics of all the players, I think, have been dragged up to running speed. But you would expect that the top players are not found out in that department.
I think if it was Mark Allen, I'd be delighted as well, because if there was one player currently playing on the circuit who you just wouldn't on your tail trying to get a snooker against you, it generally would be John Higgins. So that's one to just get away from there.
And he did indeed, and he holds the advantage. 3-2 now.
Yeah, and he's left with a possible pot into the right corner. But this is different circumstances now with the score line. Can he knock this in? And he hasn't got away with it, and all of a sudden the whole thing is turned around. A bit unlucky for that red to spring out of the bunch and split all the reds and leave an easy starter for Mark, but it's the sort of thing that can happen. And it's all turned around in the third frame. John missed 2 balls that would have given him a 3-0 lead. This was the first one with the rest. He only needed 2 more pots. And then this one, he only needed that, a colour and a red. He missed both of them. And since that, he's been very unsettled. And Mark Allen has taken control, Stephen.
Yeah, they've obviously left some big mental scars in those 2 shots. And one reason, because when you're playing so well and not missing, you seem to feel it even more. If he'd perhaps taken 2 or 3 chances to win the first 2 frames, he wouldn't have remembered those quite as, or they wouldn't have left as big a scar. But he doesn't look the same player now.
Meanwhile, Mark has made things difficult for himself. He's hampered slightly, and he's got to get out onto a colour here. And that's an amazing chance he's let slip there, all because he left himself awkward. So what a let-off.
He was very fortunate though, the cue ball collided with the brown. It's not left John any pot to go at. Could get another stalemate here if Mark decides to just trundle the cue ball dead weight into the pack.
There's not much else he can do, because he can't risk going up the table to leave the one to the middle. I think John has got a shot here. He might be able to play off that red, the left side of the table, and cover the red. There's a red that'll go to either middle, but he had a look at it, doesn't like it, so he's back looking at it again. Yeah. As long as he gets that cue ball tight on the cushion, it's a pretty good shot. I like that shot.
Yeah, it's the more aggressive safety, isn't it? Just taking the cue ball back to the black cushion wouldn't have been a positive shot at all. But the beauty is getting the cue ball so tight on that baulk cushion. If he didn't get so tight, there's a red to the left centre. Still maybe forced into taking the red to the left centre. Sometimes when the pot's as difficult as a safety shot, you'd rather go the attacking way.
Yeah, if he didn't get the white where he did, if he had left the white there, Mark would have taken that red and he could have played over and out onto the black, but he did get it tight on the cushion, which makes this much more difficult. And it has paid dividends. That last shot that John Higgins played put Mark in a lot of trouble, and he thought, I might just snick this in the middle, and he didn't.
One.
And can he get back to how he started this match? The chance is there.
8.
Well, this isn't the ready played for. So straight away a loss of position, which he wasn't doing again in the first couple of frames. He had a cue ball and a string then. So it might take him 2 or 3 shots to get back into his rhythm.
Nine. $13. $16. Yeah, 70.
Slight kick, having the cue ball clean, but the first shot that John played, he thought about playing back behind the black, and this was the first shot he looked at, and boy, was it the correct shot to play. He knew if he got the white tight on the cushion, it would leave a very awkward shot for Mark Allen. And Mark couldn't see an easy safety, and he was tempted into taking a very difficult pot on. And
23.
Just left it over the pocket there, so I suppose you'd
24.
say that's all about experience, and there's no more experienced player in the game than this man.
Put your phone away, please.
Well, the Verhouse has spotted someone with a phone out. Couldn't believe it the other night. Someone on the front row was
30.
actually tweeting.
$31. $36.
Wow, that's a clever
37.
shot from John Higgins, leaving an angle on the black, because he's got the red to the right of the black, but he'll cannon into the bunch, and if this works out, it could be a chance to win the frame. Key shot coming up now.
$44. $45.
There's definitely nothing wrong with John's game when he gets in amongst them. Looks like scoring heavily every time he gets in.
52. $53. $60.
56 ahead, so only a couple more pots needed.
$61.
It's just a possible 59 left there.
.67.
And every chance now of
68.
another century break. Wouldn't that be something? He opened up with 2 centuries. And if he was to do that, someone said, how's your match going in the Masters? Made 3
75.
centuries. And what's the score? On 3-all with Mark Allen.
.76.
I mean, the standard has been superb. He had some tactical play in the previous frame, but back to normal now.
.83. .84. .90. .91.
Well, the way this match is going, I mean, we could have an absolute thriller on our hands. The way both players are playing, we might even finish up on the deciding frame.
.96.
It's the yellow and green for his 3rd century and the 14th century in this year's Masters if he was to knock these 2 colours in. In fact, it'll be the 15th. I knew I'd get it right eventually. It's a shame, no century break. I don't think John will be all that disappointed. He trapped Mark Allen into taking a difficult cut into the middle. It paid dividends, and he made that beautiful break of 96, and he's all square again. It's 3 each.
And just whilst they're re-racking the balls, let's just show you how the draw actually looks. So Sullivan got over the line 6-4 in record-equalling style yesterday against Ricky Walton, as you will probably remember. Markovu's maximum was the highlight of a pretty emphatic 6-3 win over Stuart Bingham. There was a crisp, authoritative performance from a very sprightly Ali Carter on his return last night. He beat Barry Hawkins, the world number 5, 6-1. Great win. World number 1, Neil Robertson, safely through to the quarters against Rob Milkins, 6-4. Now, the 2011 Masters winner Ding Junhui takes on the world number 13 Joe Perry tonight. Joe knows he's yet to win a match at the Masters in 6 attempts. At Northern Ireland's Mark Allen were really enjoying this match against double Masters winner John Higgins. Judd Trump was 3rd favourite this week, but Glasgow Dangerman Stephen Maguire played really strongly to knock him out. And the world champion and 3 times winner of this event, Mark Selby, also sent packing by Sean Murphy in a decider on the opening afternoon on Sunday. Actually, all of which reminds you of just how eventful and how high quality a tournament this has been so far, John, hasn't it?
I think this is by far the hardest tournament to predict. You know, when you look at all the matches and you think, yeah, but everyone's extremely capable. I mentioned at the top of the show, it's all about your current form for me. If you turn up here and you're hitting the ball well when you turn up, you've got half a chance, but you've got to play really well through the tournament. I mean, it is the best 16 players, and if you win it, you deserve to.
Judd Trump, perhaps the most surprising result, although with absolutely no disrespect to the way Steve Maguire played, because he was tremendous.
I suppose perhaps you could argue Judd Trump because he promised so much in the UK Championship, got so close to winning that, so he would have been very disappointed. But you know, such is the standard of players that nobody can really argue too much. It's just tough to win your first round match, let alone win the tournament.
Who's going to get across the line here? 3-0, now a best of 5.
Yeah, especially in the Masters, the first round is so difficult to get past. Lots of players come here for many years and never win a match. There's the putt success rate. John's still at 95%.
One.
Well, that's a great shot. In fact, John was up and away around the table before the red got anywhere near the pocket. Well, as he hit this too well, needs to pull up a little bit. Just about okay, but he'll have to
5.
head up towards the blue. I don't know if he can get to the blue. Is he going to cannon the other red there, Stephen?
Yeah, he may be able to stay on the black here. The red that's immediately above the one he's playing. Yeah, half ball contact on that.
Six. John Higgins, 6.
Still expected him to get that, but it was the shot a couple of shots ago. He didn't get on the red as he intended, but he's been playing so well, I expected him to knock that in.
One. Clean the white, yep.
Do you know, he played to get on the black there, and it's just gone a little too far. An awful long way to travel with the cue ball. If he had it dropped on the black and got it back on the spot, in fact, he can still take it. So it was a good opening shot there. Oh, he thought he'd missed that. Maybe he got another
Just the
heavy
black.
contact, but he did think that that was going to straighten up.
8. Nine.
Just lost the cue ball. It's travelled 3 inches further than he wanted. He's got to really hit this well now to get the right cannon on the reds. Good shot. Would have had to time this well.
16. $17. $24. $25.
And again, he's lost the cue ball. Still a little bit careless. He'd like to have been straight on the black because he could have played a cannon on the 5 reds and stayed on the red to the left corner. Again, it's another one you've got to time well to get the action on the cue ball.
I don't know if he can hold and cannon that one. He's hit the other one, but I think he's still okay.
32.
Well, maybe not quite. This is not straightforward. Good recovery.
33. $36. 37. 44.
The toughest part of the game of snooker is when you miss and you've got to go and sit down and watch your opponent knock in the balls that you know you should be knocking in. And John missed that black off the spot that let Mark in.
45.
And we know the way they're playing, one mistake and you lose the frame. Just overcut that. That's played beautifully.
52. 53. 59. 60. 67. 68. 73. 74. 80.
Yeah,
81.
without doubt, this has been the best match in the Masters so far. The standard's unbelievable. Every chance now that Mark could make his second century break. I mean, Mark O'Fu against Stuart Bingham made his maximum and 2 other centuries. That standard was high.
87.
But both players are doing it here.
88.
And there's no better place to be when 2 players are playing at the top of their form to be watching it. Well, he lost his concentration on the blue. He goes back to his seat. It should have been a century break, but it was a fine effort from the man from County Antrim, and he's back in the lead at 4-3. Just one mistake. That's all it takes, the way these 2 players are playing. And John, well, could have had a century in the previous frame, 96, and Mark could have had a century in that frame. But John got in at the start of that frame and he was looking in good shape, and he hit this too well. He's playing for the red that's next to the black. He knows he'll bring the black into play, and he knew straight away he'd hit it a little hard. If it was straight on the red, he'd have been perfect. He played the cannon, as Stephen suggested, to get on the black, played the cannon as well as he possibly could do, and then the way he was playing, Stephen, I didn't expect him to miss this one.
No, it's probably the first You know, obviously we talked about in the third frame that they're red with the rest in the longer bits. The first sort of easy ball, you know, with his hand on the table that he's missed. Would expect players of this standard. He was punished for it.
I think he's just going to be okay. The red has come back up the table, but the brown will come to the rescue, I think. Just about, as you can see. It's like Mark can get off the right side of the pack, but he'd have to get a very good cue ball, otherwise you could leave that one that's up the other end of the table. You can see enough of the pack, the right side. I'll show you what he's looking at there. If we just spin round, you'll be able to see that he can just see the reds at the edge of the pack, but he'd have to be very precise if he takes that on. I mean, if he played that shot, that's the sort of angle he'd be taking, so he'd have to be absolutely spot on to cover that red, but there's not a lot else available to him. Because the yellow's in the way of coming off the left side cushion and just nestling into the bunch of reds. You can play the red just above the blue, but he didn't attempt the pot, but has he left the red? I think that's a poor choice of shot in the end. It wasn't a bad choice of shot had he had left the cue ball tight on the cushion. He's put John right in here.
One.
Yeah, it's lovely when you come to the table and you've been left an opportunity like this.
Eight. Nine.
I think he's okay. That red that he just pushed into the bunch, I think it's still available to the same pocket as the black. Yeah, no problem.
16. $17.
Hadn't got the angle to play for the black, but just straightforward. Leave a nice easy pink.
Just give me a second, John. I just want to measure that.
He'll have to go to the back of the reds here, Jan Verhaas this time. He just tried to get a fuller contact and leave the white tight on the cushion.
Thank you.
That was
23.
the sort of shot that well, it had been very precise to risk that, but it was an alternate.
$24.
It's amazing when you've got reds either side of the blue. Doesn't matter where you finish, the number of times you finish almost straight. I think he's got a slight angle with this. He can play back across the table for the one into the corner, as you can see. And he hit it a bit too hard.
29.
If he's dead straight, he'll come back for the blue again. And he is.
$30.
Hoping to land straight on this red, so it's perfect. So now he can virtually leave. As he just let the cue ball drift a wee bit. I don't know if he can still play for the blue. Leave the
35.
angle to go into the pink. Yeah, he's okay.
36.
So now full ball in the pink, and the way the reds are situated, these are going to split nicely. Well, the only downside is the 41 are now awkward.
John Higgins, 41.
It's amazing. As I was saying before the match started, John looks as good as he ever has done, and then all of a sudden he puts something like that in. It's hard to explain.
1.
It's amazing. It's a mixture of a lapse in concentration and well, it just seems to happen. Especially when you're so far in front and you know that you could go on to take the frame, even though the black and pink was awkward. Wow, that was a shocker. And is that going to be a big turning point in this match?
7.
Well, John will be fearing the worst.
Yeah.
The way Mark's been playing, both players have been playing this afternoon. John will be sat in his chair expecting Mark to capitalise on this chance. Well,
Mark Allen, 7.
The first signs
Sorry, John,
of
thank
the
you.
pressure mounting in this match now.
Yeah, he just put a little, didn't push the cue through in a straight line that time. A little bit of tension there. This is much more difficult than the one he missed, and that's why he's getting up and down again, just to settle himself and put that last miss out of his mind. Well, he's held a delightful nudge on the red there. He didn't anticipate that, and it couldn't have worked out better. He was hoping to be on the blue for the other middle pocket, but he'll take that. Just over 2 hours of some unbelievable snooker we've had here.
Just quite play a little cannon here. Well, in fact, he's playing the bottom red, so the red next to the pink, he played a half ball cannon. Pink pot's in the right centre, so still in good position.
– 13.
If he's dead straight on this red, he'll need a little bit of reverse side if he's to leave the pink for the same pocket as the red. Oh,
14.
Played for into the middle again. Looks pretty tight there, but it's okay. Just making sure, checking the scoreboard.
The
blue will put the frame safe. Could have played that better. I think he was just a bit relieved. Thought I'd knock the blue and he'll need a snooker. And he's played a terrible positional shot.
Yeah, could have just followed the cue ball through there. Had a choice, the Redsman. Played a more exact positional shot. And he's not been too good with the rest today so far.
John Higgins, 26.
He'll be annoyed at that. The frame should be over.
One.
Well, the frame is far from over now because quite comfortable here to take 2 reds and 2 blacks. And
9.
Whichever of these 2 reds he leaves, he'll be able to play the snooker in behind the pink, and John knows only too well that when he comes back to the table, he could be tight in behind the pink. Maybe a slight change of plan now because he didn't have a good angle on that black to get as nice on the red as he wanted. He doesn't have to take a black, he can take the pink. Still only need 1 snooker.
17.
And he shakes his head. He's left himself straight. He wanted an angle to be able to pot the pink and just get up near the black and then roll in behind the pink, so he's a bit annoyed with that. Another change of plan now. Now, can he still get tight in behind the pink? Screw in behind the pink and
23.
Get that red up near a bulk colour. He has. Didn't want to hit the blue though. That makes it slightly easier, the escape. If the red misses the blue, it was going to be a tough escape. But even the one
Hang
cushion,
on a second, please.
got to be careful.
Okay, good.
Yeah, someone just coming down the stairs there, so when you got to go, you got to go. Well, as you mentioned, Stephen, we should have already been in the next frame, but John Higgins played such a poor positional shot when he rolled the blue in to secure the frame as he thought he had done, and now he's all of a sudden having to really work hard, because if he doesn't escape from the snooker and the way the balls are, it's anyone's frame. A must hit.
Foul.
Well, is it a free ball? Is it going to be a free ball? It is.
Free ball.
And all of a sudden, Mark Allen might just have gone favourite. No miss called when your opponent needs a snooker, but that was a bad misjudgment. It's loads aside on that. He didn't need it. He's looking to see if he can get to the potting angle of the blue. He's not quite sure if he can pot the blue.
Blue ball.
That's what he's looking at. No problem. Blue conscious one. Now he's got to take a colour again, and well, if John Higgins loses this frame, well, you couldn't see him coming back from that mistake he made. It.
Seven. Eight.
Well, this is amazing. Wow, he's just sitting there in a daze.
13. 15.
Must be in a daze because he thought the frame was his.
18.
What a boost for Mark Allen.
$22.
That's the slightly tricky shot out of the way. Brown to blue.
$27. 33.
He still had to knock them in. He needed the snooker. He got it. And John Higgins will be in total shock. He had the frame at his mercy. He played a careless positional shot. Mark Allen needed a snooker. He got it. He won the frame, and now he just needs one more to get through to the quarter-final. It's 5-3 to Mark Allen.
Yes, Dennis has summed that up very nicely. In fact, that one shot that he was referring to is what you'd picked out, actually, just to remind everyone, because it was really in his gift here, wasn't it?
Oh, I mean, honestly, he will be absolutely kicking himself. He's done all the hard work in the frame. He's ended up, he's on the blue, simple shot to get onto the red. He doesn't come down far enough. I mean, he could play a position at the shot there where he's on the two reds, one on the left or the bottom one. Next minute, he hits it into the jaws, 59 ahead, 59 left, 60 ahead, but he gets the snooker free ball. Anything that could go wrong went wrong after that, but he'd be kicking himself there.
He will do, because suddenly there's a two-frame gap and Mark Allen is almost over the line. But some really tough questions they were asking of one another towards the tail end of that frame, Steve.
Yes, they were, but I suppose from John Higgins' perspective, the questions he's been asking himself since he came out with those words at the press conference that, you know, would he accept that he was a journeyman player? I'm a journeyman player. He would have gone back over the period of time since then and really worked hard on his game, trying to find out what was wrong. You know, the sort of the pressures on a sports person to try and get to that level and get back to a level, they're always on you. Professional sport, professional games like this are always about winning. It's nothing to do with enjoying the game. Once it gets to this level, it's about winning. So there he comes, he gets himself ready. Over the Christmas period, he might have done a little bit of, like, you know, dedication more than, you know, turkey, whatever. And, like, he put in the grafting on the table, and all of a sudden he comes out, first few frames, he's playing beautifully. He's playing beautifully, and he's now staring a loss in the face. You know, it can be debilitating, this game. When you're trying to buy a win, you can't get one.
But to that, of the same effect, I mean, he could easily come out and make ton-ton now, but with the tension levels ratcheting up now, John, do you see it?
Well, to be honest with you, in some ways, he's looking at now 5-3 behind, and he may think to himself, well, I could be out of the tournament here. So he can work in both ways, to be honest with you. But I know one thing, whoever loses today is going to be absolutely gutted because they both played so well.
Yeah, it's been a magnificent game, it really has. But at the moment, it's the man from Northern Ireland who is one away from a place in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, their only meeting in the Masters was back in 2010 in the opening match. And Mark Allen won that 6-3. And if he was to win this frame, it would be the same scoreline. They've been very evenly matched over the years, 5 wins each.
Foul. And a miss. John Higgins 6.
Well, when you're playing that 2-cushion escape, you don't mind missing the first one. Just a little adjustment. You'd much rather miss it than catch it thick.
Yeah?
Just while they're getting that right, just going back to that, the boys in the studio were talking. I put 2 whites up. He stuns the blue in either position where the whites are. He's got an easy red in one in either corner pocket. And what does he do? He leaves the white in the middle of those. And then missed that one, cutting it back in. Amazing.
It's maybe on that line, but just a touch up.
I can't see anything there.
He's old.
What do you reckon?
That's what they're looking at to get them lined up, but nice to see that they're having a laugh about it.
It's pretty good for a nine, but I think it was just slightly that way. Not a lot.
Let's have a look where they were. We'll get it right. That's where they were before. Let's see where they are now. Just a fraction away. Oh, that's better.
Yeah? Okay.
Spot on. Well done, Jan. Try number 2.
Foul. And a miss. Mark Allen, full.
That's why it's so important to get the cue ball back in exactly the same place, because it's the slightest adjustment that it has to make.
Yeah, that's too late.
If you look at it, can't hit the pink now. Off the back cushion.
Yeah, pink should be further up then. Yeah. Yeah, but like he's saying, if it comes off cushion, avoid the red. Yeah. We'll put it up a bit, just...
I think it was up a bit, because I hit the pink the first time, I can't hit it now.
It's just the pink.
Just have a look at the cue ball.
Yeah, he's getting the cue ball right, and come around and have a look at the pink now.
Yeah.
No, where was the pink?
No. It's got to stay where it is, isn't it, now? Yeah.
Let's see where the pink was before.
According to Hawkeye, it's exactly on its spot. Yeah.
It's just a few like I can't pick that pink now. No, off the 2 cushions, I can't hit the pink.
Yeah. Let me just have a look at Hawkeye there.
It's an advantage for me. It's an advantage.
That's where it was,
Yeah.
and let's see where it is now.
Yeah.
Well, it's...
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
I think what Mark was saying was he hit the pink off the 2 cushions the last time, so...
I can't move it anyway now. Because no. We've got to leave it as it is. Hawkeye says it's spot on. So...
No. Because I'm getting a bit of an advantage here.
No, he's not. Well, you see, Mark's trying to say that I might be gaining a bit of an advantage here, and that's nice to see, isn't it? Because he's not really gaining much of an advantage. I wouldn't. Not often you see that in many sports, is it? He's trying to tell John, I think I'm gaining a slight advantage here.
Should we put the kettle on for them, Dennis?
Yeah, I know you did, yeah.
So, like, it has to be up.
Yeah.
It has to be up half a ball anyway.
Half a ball, yeah.
That's... I don't know how it's come off the cushion though, but it couldn't have come off like...
Can't come off the cushion there and go round.
No, no, swerved it, no. I think we're going to have to leave it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, leave it and just 2 cushions, try and clip the red and we're back to normal. But Mark just felt that he was gaining a slight advantage, but I don't think he was really.
Foul. And a miss. John Higgins fought. According to Hawkeye, it couldn't have been that far away, but... Do you want it back, John, yeah? Yeah.
Well, smiles all around here. But I think what happened on the first attempt, he did hit the pink. We'll show you the first attempt. This is the first attempt. 2 cushions, and he did hit the pink. And now he's got it perfect. I think that's what Mark was trying to explain. My first attempt, I hit the pink, and then when they were replaced, he couldn't hit the pink off 2 cushions, so he felt he was gaining a slight advantage. But anyway, it's all back to normal now. Do you think they'll ever get that in football, Stephen? Yeah. No, he didn't trip me there. I won't take the penalty.
Be safe.
Yellow and brown are a nice target now to try and get a snooker behind. Green's not too bad either. Oh, this could be good.
Yeah, looks like he'll be forced into taking this red on. Don't think the black's available, so you have to screw the cue ball back with the blue. Maybe a slight angle to play the follow-through shot, but this needs good cueing. Couldn't have finished that much worse.
One.
I'm just wondering if all that little jovial banter between them has maybe made John relax, because he certainly wasn't relaxed after what he did in the previous frame. So maybe he can just settle down again here. And he's got to win 3 frames in a row, but as Hazel said in the studio, the way he's been playing, it's a possibility.
9.
But he's got to play a flawless snooker again, as he did for 2.5 frames, if he's to win this match.
$16. $70. $24. $25.
There's not been many players in this sport that you'd pick other than John Higgins at 5-3 down to come through and win. He's done it so many times.
$32. $33.
Well, surely not at this stage
40.
in the match, but you certainly couldn't place the reds any better. 5 reds, 5 blacks.
Yep.
But obviously,
41.
no way John will be thinking about anything like that. Just get this frame win, get back in the match.
Yeah, he got a slightly bad contact there. See, the red just jumped slightly. And that is perfect. And still on course, but as Stephen
48.
said, the frame's the most important thing at this stage. But he has made 7
49.
maximum breaks in his illustrious career.
$56. $57.
As we mentioned earlier, there's only been 3 maximum breaks made in the Masters in 40 years.
John's just asking the referee who's on a max, because he didn't, obviously there was a score already on the board from all Mark Allen's fouls. So that shows you he's thinking about it.
Well, isn't it great to see everybody smiling out there? I mean, the pressure's quite intense, but That really has tickled John.
I'll do.
Go on, get the frame one first. It's £10,000 for a maximum break, and if John was to do it, he'd share that with Marco Fu.
64.
I think because the Red's in such a good situation, that's why he was asking. I mentioned earlier about what had been done in the tournament, obviously in the World Championship a few years ago. O'Sullivan and Ali Carter both made a maximum in the same tournament, so it has been done. We have had two in the same competition.
But just imagine 2 in 40 years in
72.
the Masters, and there's a possibility we could have 2 in this year's tournament. Wouldn't that be something?
73.
Frame safe now, so come on, John. Let's see a maximum.
Yeah, it was a good shot. Played that cue ball in an area. Could have had the red next
80.
to the pink in the right corner, but was hoping to get on this one to the left centre, which obviously clears the path for the other red to the middle.
Thank you. 81.
I don't know how many years ago it is now, Stephen, but Northern Ireland played Scotland in the Nations Cup.
88.
John Higgins had never made a maximum, even in practice. I broke off, and in a one-frame match, he knocked his first maximum break in on television.
89.
Must have been a bad break, was it?
Just played to flick that one out, but he knew he was going to be
96.
okay.
'97.
That one, the left side of the table, that is the one that's going to be the more difficult.
Yeah, again, play the cue ball in an area. He's always going to have the one to the right middle, but he might be on the wrong side of that one. Is it too straight in this red?
104.
No, he struck that well. Struck that really well. Maybe too well. Can he get the cannon in the pink?
Good shout that, Stephen, because if he does cannon the pink, it'll stop the white from running further up the table, and he'll be perfect on the red. There's the cannon, and there's the black.
112. 113.
He's got a slight angle, not as much as he would have liked. He's just looking to see what angle Mark would love John to make a maximum break now.
Lots of left-hand side. I don't know if he played to come off a cushion or not. If he did, he's completely mishit that.
120.
I'm sure he played to come off the side cushion with side.
Okay, settle down, please. Thank you.
Well, this is tough. Come on, John. Can you believe it? What a chance he had there. Unbelievable. I thought he was going to do it. Everyone in the Alexandra Palace thought he was going to do it. But he's won the frame and he's right back in this match. It's now 5-4 to Mark Allen. Isn't this brilliant?
It certainly is absolutely brilliant, 120, and you know, we were applauding there just when we were coming back to the studio, and I loved the moment when he said, "Am I on a maximum?" for Jan Verhaas. Absolutely priceless, wasn't it?
Yeah, especially as there's been lots of safety and points on the ball, but it was a great effort. In the end, he was a fraction out of position on the last black, and he sort of rushed that shot a bit. But I mean, under that sort of tension, it's an interesting thing to think, though, that you're there trying to make a maximum. You know somebody else has already done one in the tournament. You know, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to nick half the prize money. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, and even then, £10,000 for the high break here this week. It's not exactly in the old days when you were making £147,000 for these things, but still, 2 in 4 days wouldn't have been bad. Let's be honest. But
I bet Marco was really enjoying it.
I'm sure he was. Yeah, John, what was your view?
Have I mentioned that this is quite a good match? The standard is just ludicrously good. I mean, honestly, that was a brilliant break from John Higgins. Obviously, he's got to forget about that now. That's the tub. It's been and gone. It won in one frame, and he's still got an uphill task to win the final 2.
Well, by my counting, it's 4 centuries and 3 50-plus breaks in 9 frames. Not too shabby, is it?
Well, Hazel called it earlier. She said John was going to make a ton, come out and make a ton, and he did. Nearly made a maximum for Hazel. She knows more about the game than we all do now, Stephen. Oh, this was the one. I mean, the pressure, and he was so close.
I think if the brown wasn't there, it would have made a shot a lot easier. He had to obviously avoid snookering himself, just to nudge the cue ball past the brown. But got to get his focus back on the job in hand. And this is a type of shot, if you pot the red, the angle, you can get through the gap, but if you miss it, you're going to be cannoning things.
This was tough. I mentioned that he was going to have to play a flawless snooker. He started off that way, but this is the chance that Mark Allen has been waiting for. He's a pretty cool customer, this boy.
Well, he's overhit that by a foot.
6.
Played for the red to the right of the black. Still goes.
Seven.
You have to play this with a lot of left-hand side of the cushion for the red closest. In fact, it was straight enough to be able to play that shot
14.
into the red, so this is a good chance now.
15.
It's early on in the frame, but he'd be disappointed not to win it from here.
This is going to bring more reds into play now. It's got to make
22.
sure he finishes on black or blue.
23.
He's misjudged that. He thought he was going to be on the pink, and the black is quite a thin snick now. He didn't envisage that red blocking the path for the pink.
Mark Allen, 23.
And straight away, he's played to leave this red simply because it was blocking the black into the left corner pocket. And removing this one, when he gets on the black, it'll be in the clear. Mark Allen had a great chance there.
Five.
Well, there's two easy reds.
12.
And there's a couple of reds in the pack that are on as well, so this is a very good chance. It really is.
13.
The only thing, the reds are all available into the left corner pocket. That's why he's just stopping in his tracks and just working out exactly where he wants that cue ball. It's not the best. He walks
20.
away with his hand covering his face there. Well, there you can see, that's the problem. And is he trying to make a 3-ball plant? I don't know if the two are in line for the pocket. As we swing round, we find out that they're going slightly to the left. And if those two reds are touching and he knocks the one red onto the left side of them as we look at it, it could straighten up and he could make the plant. He's just going to work that out. Yeah, if he hits that onto the left side, it'll squeeze the red. That'll eventually finish up in the pocket. I think he can make this. You got the perfect picture there to see if he does squeeze it. At the moment, it's going to the left of the pocket. And he's overdone it. Squeezed it too much.
John Higgins, 20.
Now then, one long pot. And Mark has got them all at his mercy. He just overdone it and squeezed it too much. Well, has he ran out of position straight away?
8.
Or is he just okay? It's certainly not on the red he intended to be. This is a thin cut back. Well played. That's a terrific recovery shot. It really is. He put the disappointment of not getting on the red he intended and pulled out a little gem there. And every chance now for Mark Allen.
13.
What a match we've had here this afternoon. John Higgins has made 3 centuries and a 96. And he could lose the match 6-4. How often would that happen?
21. 22.
John Higgins way ahead on points, but the scoreline is the main part.
He's not hitting.
Yeah.
Well, he's not hit many of these
24.
shots on this break well. Mark Allen, he's looked pretty nervy. Object balls are not going in the centre of the pockets. He's never had that cue ball under control yet, really. It's the hardest for him to win, always for him to get over the line. Again, just short on the blue. So you'd think, pot this red nicely in the black, and it should be all over.
31. $38.
That's the one he's been waiting for. It's been an absolute fabulous match, by far the best in this year's Masters, and it could have went either way. And as I said, John Higgins has made 3 centuries
45.
and a 96 break, and he's going to lose 6-4. How
46.
often would that happen? But every credit to Mark Allen. He's made his century. He should have had a couple of centuries himself, but he's hung in there. And it's been a joy to watch these two players this afternoon. It really has. After the 2 opening frames when John made back-to-back centuries.
56.
It looked as if Mark Allen was going to have a mountain to climb, but it's not to be for the twice winner.
60.
But this Alexandra Palace crowd, well, they've been treated to some fabulous snooker
65.
this afternoon, and almost a maximum break from John Higgins as well. Well, it doesn't matter if the white goes in. They're good friends, these boys. They did treat us to a fabulous match this afternoon. And in the end, Mark Allen, well, he'll be absolutely delighted. He defeats the former champion by 6 frames to 4. Well done, boys.
And we wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment, Dennis. What a marvellous afternoon snooker we have had. I'm sure you have thoroughly enjoyed it, as indeed have Steve, John and myself in the studio. And there's the man who's done it, despite the fact that a bit of a barrage of scoring against him. As Dennis said, 3 tons and a 96, and he's knocked him out. 6-4. John, your reaction to what we've seen today?
Shows you just need a lot more than talent, don't you? You need plenty of character. When he was 2-0 down, hadn't had a shot, 2 centuries against him. I don't see many people who'd have stood up to that today. He did.
Steve?
Yeah, a fantastic sort of rearguard action at one stage from Mark Allen, and he did it so well. And you know, at the end, you know, you could have been forgiven for sort of giving a bit of emotion off there, but I think he was very much in control during that match. He looked very assured amongst the balls. And has shown a tremendous amount of bottle as well. And if we're talking about whether he can win, you know, a big event, I think that in itself is a statement.
Yeah, it's his 5th quarter final here, by the way.
I would say that was as good as he's played.
Yeah.
You know, overall, under the circumstances, I've seen him come out and blitz people, but the way John Higgins has played against him today, I think that's probably as good as he's played.
Well,
Rarely do both players play that well in a match, and continue to play well throughout the whole match.
Without question, the best match of the week so far, isn't it?
Yeah, amazing. I mean, the only problem for the crowds is they're getting treated to this sort of on a more regular basis. They walk away going, you know, how can you be more astounded than that? You know, it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mark's on his way towards us at the moment. In fact, I think he's just coming in now. Here he comes. Well played, Mark. Congratulations.
That was easy enough then.
Yes, walk in the park.
We've just been discussing how a man can make 3 centuries and a 96 against you and still lose. That was a heck of a match today.
Yeah, I think John done most of the scoring there, but I just hung in early doors. I have a good record against him recently, so just knew to hang in there. You know, John's been struggling a bit of late, so I was hoping that he would get a bit tight, you know, when he's seen the winning line. It didn't really turn out that way, but I was sort of always had that in the back of my mind to stay positive.
But whilst he came out and he hit you with century, what was going through your mind at that point?
Don't miss silly blacks like I did in the first frame. Missed that black and didn't see a ball for 2 frames, and that's the level we're at. I was edgy. early on, like I am in any match, but you can't really afford to miss blacks like that, and that sort of was a bit of a turning point early.
He missed a couple of shots where he could have killed you off in a frame, but you did the damage by then clearing up, and you cleared up very calmly as well.
Yeah, well, not being big-headed, but I'd like to think I'm pretty good under pressure. I've got pretty good bottle, but I don't want to have to keep clearing up from 50 behind. I'd rather be the 150 in front, but no, I'm over the moon winning regardless of how I got it.
You've had a fantastic season, Mark, actually, when you think about it. 4 finals in a row. I know you won one of them, but, you know, just to keep that level going. What's changed this season as compared with the last couple, would you say?
Honestly, can't put my finger on anything. I've been practicing very, very hard, probably as hard as I've ever done, really, this last 18 months. And it's been hard for me because I haven't had Terry to work with, Terry Griffiths, and I've been trying to manage things on my own and probably tinkering a little bit too much. And like over Christmas there, I've probably played the worst snooker I've played in a couple of years, and coming here I wasn't very confident. But when you get out there in the match arena, you know, you switch on.
You're talking about your practice, Mark. Dennis mentioned on commentary, are you playing more with players this time in practice, or have you always done that, or have you just mixed it up a little bit?
It varies. No, it's hard for me to get many players. There's only like Joe Swale and Fergal O'Brien I can really play that are reasonably close to me. A couple of good amateur players in the club, that's like top 2 in the country, are from my club. So
right.
I've got decent players to play with, but I do a lot of work on my own as well, because they work 9 to 5. So in the club most days doing 3 or 4 hours on my own, and probably too much time on my own, if I'm being honest, because it gives you too much thinking time and too much tinkering time.
You know, a few years ago, I remember having a debate with you when you were playing here at the Masters. It was actually at Wembley, and we're saying, can he get into his first major final? And you just couldn't do it. You were getting over the line. You were nearly there. And then suddenly you break through and you win a couple of major ranking titles. And now we're asking, OK, you've been in a UK final. You've been to semi-finals of the World Championships and this one. Do you think it's time for you to start winning these major ones? Do you feel it's your time, Mark?
Not really a big believer in feeling if it's your time or not. You just put the hard work in on the practice table and you get what you get. I don't try any harder in the big tournaments than I do in the small ones. It's just so happened that my better performances have come in the lesser events. No, I've got to 4 finals in a row this season. I didn't really feel like I was playing that well. I had a couple of good matches here and there, but it's just about digging deep. I'm not making as many silly errors as I used to. I think that's just all part of growing up.
And I know that the New Year's resolutions are out, because I heard the interview you did with Jason earlier, and you said you've been losing a bit of weight and determined to keep going with that fitness regime. How's the willpower?
The fitness part, like doing the work on that, it's not too bad, but the food, I love my food, as you can tell, but it's been hard because I'm sticking to eggs in the morning, either chicken or fish in the afternoon, and then the other in the evening, and that's pretty much all I can eat all day. It's been very tough. I'm not allowed any carbs Monday to Saturday. Nice. My trainer's been very, very hard on me, so it's tough, but I'm reaping their benefits straight away because I've lost over a stone already since Christmas, and if I can keep going that direction, it can't do any harm to my snooker.
Do you feel better for it? Sorry, Steve.
Well, it's probably a bit early for that because I've only really been doing it for about 4 weeks, but hopefully in the long run it will help. But no, I've just got too down on myself. Because certain shots I can't play because I can't reach because I'm too fat. So if I can just go out there and lose a bit of weight, then I'm sure it'll help my snooker.
OK, well, it's Ding Junhui or Joe Perry, I believe, next in the quarter-final. And from what you've seen of those boys, Ding, Joe, what do you think?
It's going to be a tough match. I think a lot of people will side with Ding on that one, but Joe's had a pretty good year. He got to the final in Wuxi, I think it was.
It was, yeah.
He's been a good player for a long time, and Ding's not quite at his best, but Ding's the type of player that can turn it on, and he loves this big stage, and the best players seem to bring out the best in them in the big arenas, and I think it'll be close, but I still think Ding might shade that one. OK, we'll see tonight, but Mark, thank you so much for fantastic entertainment, the two of you this afternoon. It was a real pleasure to watch. Cheers. All right. Well done, mate. Thanks.